Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another digest. This time, I'm going to be talking about all the things that I finished in June of 2025. And I'm decently on the ball this time, only like a week late, but let's get started. First up, we have a rewatch, which is One Cut of the Dead. This is a movie. It's an hour and 36 minutes long, and I watched it on the 2nd of June. So for context, for I guess anyone who's watching, keeping track of all these digests, I was doing this thing with my friend where we're each showing each other our top 3 favorite movies, and this was my top movie. At least when I tried to come up with a candidate list of like, what are my 3 favorite movies? It was number 3 was The Florida Project, number 2 was The Lighthouse, and then number 1 was One Cut of the Dead. So I feel like anyone watching right now, you probably have no idea what this movie is. I'm probably not going to give much away, honestly, in this actual bit where I'm reviewing it, but it's a zombie movie, is the big takeaway, and it is a really good movie. Even on a rewatch, it is a 5 out of 5. I truly don't have too much to say beyond just saying that it's a really good, entertaining movie. I guess surprisingly in my rewatch, I think it had more substance to it than I thought. I thought most of the appeal of it was, I guess, 2 things, which is the kind of low budget nature to it, and the comedy as well. I remember thinking this was a very funny movie. So those were the 2 appeals, but it had more substance in that it has this whole storyline of the filmmaker and his daughter, and how basically they've kind of lost connection, and they're like not real. They're not still connected. They live together or whatever, but they're not like their relationship isn't as close as it used to be, you know, when she was younger. And by the end of this movie, you have the really, really cute ending of the daughter being the one to hold the crane at the end and like hold the shot right at the end of the movie. And after the movie is done and it's all made and the big climax is all done and everything, you get like the daughter showing the dad the photo of when they were younger, and she was like on his shoulders, and it's like a callback to when she was like doing the crane thing like a few minutes ago, and it's really cute. I'm like, oh my god, I'm actually emotionally invested in this. So you know what, it's a fantastic movie. I love it. Highly recommend this. I'm not going to say more than I have to, because if anyone is listening right now, you most likely haven't already seen it. One Cut of the Dead, I absolutely highly recommend this. Go watch it. Don't look it up, just watch it. I think one of the appeals is not knowing what's happening in it. But yeah, I guess the last thing to say is that music was also good. I had a specific note on this. Like it's used at the correct times. Like it comes and goes, like especially in the comedic moments and stuff. Like it's really good. Music great. Anyway, go watch One Cut of the Dead. What are you doing? Why are you listening to me? Go watch it. 5 out of 5. Anyway. Next up, we have How to Train Your Dragon, the original animated movie from 2010. So this is a movie. It's an hour and 38 minutes long, and I watched it on the 5th of June. So this is my first time watching this. I guess I don't know why I never watched this when I was younger. I guess 2010, I was like 14 years old or something, which I feel like is probably the decent like age range to watch something like this. I guess I've seen like a bunch of the other like animated movies. I've seen Shrek, of course. I've seen all the Pixar movies that were around at this time. So I'm not sure why I never watched this. But anyway, I finally got around to it. And my big takeaway is that it's a solid 4 out of 5. This is a good movie, like a really good movie. Like it what stands the test of time or whatever, like even in the modern day, like with much, you know, crazy animation these days in these animated movies, I think this still holds up, at least like storytelling wise. However, animation wise, it is very clearly dated, which is fine. It gets what it needs to across in the limited animation style that it has. But yeah, it's a fantastic movie. It's incredibly simple is probably what I would say. It's literally like would you say a coming of age story? I don't know. It's like two things, a friendship building thing and a coming of age story. And you've got Hiccup, and he's like finding this dragon, and he builds a friendship with this dragon, or like a relationship, I guess. Maybe not I don't know if friends is the right word or whatever, but, and then he earns the respect of all the people around him, and that's basically the whole story. Yeah, it's good. It's engaging. Let me actually look at what notes I have on this particularly. I guess there's like 2 appeals to this primarily. One is the slow training of Hiccup, like the many scenes you get of like actually going and training and building the tail for him, and like building the saddle and everything, or trying out the saddle, like all of that I think is really good. That's some of my favorite stuff. But the other kind of, I guess maybe a little bit more deeper element, which I actually do find appealing, is the relationship, or like the scenes that they have between Hiccup and I think Stoic is his dad's name. I really hope it's Stoic, because I'm going to keep using that throughout this. But I like that element. It's just like they have funny but cute scenes together, and it's like, oh, he doesn't quite like, Stoic isn't very good at communicating, but at the same time he like obviously cares about Hiccup, but at the same time he like kind of hates the dragons, and we don't really find out why. It's like they did something to the mother that we don't really know what happened. Yeah, it's like, it's cute. It's a cute father-son story. So yeah, those are my overall thoughts. What else have I got? Music is great. I mean, I knew the music beforehand. Like I'd heard the main theme, the da 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 da. You know, the main one. Obviously, I've heard that. But it was used excellently in this. Whenever it happens, I'm like, oh my god. There was actually one scene where, like, right toward the end of the movie, which is the best use of this particular theme, which is when Stoic goes and saves the Hiccup, and then goes up to Hiccup. No, not Hiccup. He goes and saves Toothless, and then goes back to Hiccup, and is like, Hiccup, you know, I'm so proud of you. And the music is playing, and I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing, best use. I'm like tearing up here. It was great. What else is there? Okay, I've said a lot of positive things about this, but there's two kind of things that I'm not completely sold on. One of them is something that I unambiguously do not like in this movie, which is Hiccup's voice actor. I think Hiccup's voice actors, in terms of like acting or whatever, it's fine. In terms of the portrayal of the character, I think it's terrible. It portrays him as completely comedic with like no depth whatsoever. And second to that, the voice is like, it just doesn't match his appearance at all. Like, I don't know if it might be like the voice actor is like too old, or like putting on a voice that sounds too old for this character of Hiccup, who is clearly like I don't know, like a teenager or something. It just doesn't match. This is also a very similar, the mismatch in the voice between Hiccup, like in terms of what I expect him to talk like and what he actually sounds like and just how bad that is a very similar issue that I had with Mitchell's versus the Machines with the brother character, where I was like, this brother character sounds like it's an old man trying to play like a little kid's voice, and it just doesn't, it feels like too comedic, and I don't like it. So the same issue with Hiccup. Yeah, not at all. I did not like him at all in this. So I am curious, like in future movies, which I guess we'll talk about, if he does get better, or like if because I assume I'm pretty sure it's like a time skip, or maybe I heard about it, or maybe I just assumed that. But is it going to be like, is it going to sound different? Is it going to be less comedic? I don't know. I don't like Hiccup's voice actor. Okay. Oh my god. Anyway. The other kind of mixed thing in this is the comedy, which if you know me, you know, I'm very, you know, it says some comedy I like, you know, One Cut of the Dead, one of my favorite movies. It's a comedy, or part comedy at least. But sometimes comedy is, it can break a movie. In this case, I would say most of it probably didn't land for me. There are some great jokes, mainly to do with Stoic and Hiccup and all that, like their funny interactions and the misunderstandings, and even Stoic, like kind of being, there was like this scene, I think, and this was, unless I'm thinking of the live action, but I'm pretty sure it was in this too, where Stoic like gives a speech to everyone, and he's talking about how like, oh, I can finally show my face around here. Clearly joking about like how Hiccup was like, everyone in the whole town basically knew that Hiccup was terrible, but now he's like kind of in on the joke. Oh, he's like, he's proud of him or whatever. It's just funny. Okay, I can't explain the joke, but it's funny. What else have I actually got for the comedy thing? Oh, there's the awkward bonding moments with him. There's when Hiccup like leaves the room and he's like sighing and like is hitting all the stuff around him. Like that's really funny. No, sorry, not Hiccup. Stoic. Jesus Christ. My notes are like terrible here. What else is there? I don't know. Funny jokes. And then my last overall note is that I am very curious on where the next two movies are going, because this absolutely felt like this is like a complete story. You can watch this and have a nice beginning, nice end, and it does not in any way feel like there's anything that needs to be continued from this, with one exception, which is like, what is there any more about Hiccup's mother? Like, is she killed? Was she like, did something happen? Like, I don't know. That's the only thing where I'm like, okay, I guess we could continue this. Or we could just entirely do a completely new story in this world. Like some event will happen in the next movie and it'll continue from there. But truly, I don't know what to expect from this, and I'm very excited to actually watch the next movie. So, yeah. Anyway, those are my overall notes. What else have I got? The one like miscellaneous note is that I guess I didn't really look it up, but I have to assume this is made by the Shrek studio, because it very much feels like Shrek, both animation-wise. I mean, I probably should look this up, but I'm like 95% sure. Animation-wise, it feels like it. Also like the less like production wise, but the story at the beginning very much feels like it, where it's like a fantasy world with a bunch of like different like fantasy creatures and stuff, which I guess in this case are like dragons, but I don't know, there's an overlap between this and Shrek, but it is what it is. What other miscellaneous notes? Flying in the clouds was sick. I do like how there's so many different types of dragons. That was really cool. The I think it's the dumb kid or whatever, when he jumps off the dragon and like jumps off the big dragon and lands on his dragon, and he's like, I can't believe that worked. That was a good joke. Now, and my last like miscellaneous note is like a bit of criticism, which is that in this movie, I think Astrid is pretty weak. She doesn't have much screen time in this. We barely get to know her. And then suddenly she's like a big love interest, and she's like, it feels weird. It happens quickly. I don't know much about her. I'm not very invested in her. I wasn't a big fan of, like, she was fine in this, but like I wasn't really invested in her character, I guess. But that's How to Train Your Dragon. Now, right after this, I watched How to Train Your Dragon, the live action, so 2025. It's a movie. It's an hour and 56 minutes long, and I watched it in the theaters on the 16th of June. So my notes, I guess, basically what I said to the last movie kind of applies to this. And the reason why is that this, to me, very much just felt like almost a literal, like, scene for scene. We're going to, like, recreate this almost exactly in live action. Now, maybe I'm not as big of a fan as, like, all these people who've been adoring this, like, original movie for so long. So maybe there were, like, big things that were changed and I didn't really notice. But I don't think there were. I'm pretty sure it was just, like, small things that, like, I talked to my friend about, and she said there's, like, a bunch of small things that have changed. But it was just like, if you like the other movie, you're gonna like this one. It was pretty much like, I think I even like this a little bit more because like, I guess to give my score a 4 out of 5 as well. Because the actor for Hiccup I think is so much better than the original one, at least the voices especially. It's good. It's like it's basically just the other story, but with updated visuals. And the reason I say updated is because the original is, although it's animated, a completely different style, it is dated animation, and it's obviously modern live action. You know, it looks really good. VFX and all that look great. But yeah, it's pretty much just a 1-for-1 remake is what I got. But what else have I got? Also my complaint I was saying about the or one of my minor complaints about the original is that Astra doesn't really get much to do. In this, she has much larger of a presence. She has like even like more of a interaction with like Stoic and stuff. And she very much, I like Astrid a lot more in this. So that's like another element that I like a lot more in this too. But yeah. So Astrid and Hiccup are better in this. So, you know, I was bound to like this more. What else is there? The Astrid Hiccup relationship was better. Probably the most interesting thing the movie does is play with the music, which I don't know, maybe the original did this too, and I just didn't know because I hadn't seen it yet. But now watching this with the context of having seen the original, obviously the main theme, da, 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 you know, that one is like a big part of the emotional appeal of the movie. Obviously all the emotional moments have that kind of theme playing. If you're like a big fan of this franchise, obviously you know what that theme is and you're looking forward to it in the movie, and you probably cry when you hear it. And I think this movie, I could be wrong, but I think it plays with it, in that particular motif of like the da 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 da, like that is like, you don't quite get to it until, I don't remember what scene it happens, but some scene happens and you hear the full thing in its like full majesty. But before that, it keeps getting teased a bunch where you're like almost hearing it. You're getting very close to hearing, but they cut away and it's like, oh, not quite yet. Like, especially in these training scenes, like in this image here, where it's like, you're like getting so close to hearing it, and oh my god, but then Toothless like does something crazy, and it's like, oh, their training isn't done yet. They're not like bonded or whatever. But yeah, the movie does a good job, and when you finally hear the music, it's fantastic. But yeah. What else is there? Another thing is that, just to say about how similar these two movies are, I think personally, if I was to recommend either of these to, like if I was to recommend How to Train Your Dragon to someone, I'd be happy with them watching either of them, like this or the original. To be honest, it's like a very minor difference, and I would just go with, do you like animation or do you like live action? Just watch whatever. You'll get the same story both ways. You'll probably like it equally as much. Just pick one. That's probably what I'd say. Now, it's probably sacrilegious to a bunch of fans out there, but you know, that is what it is. Anyway, what else is there? Miscellaneous notes now. Stoic's actor was absolutely the standout. Now I'm pretty sure it must be the same guy as the original because the voice sounded like basically the same. But he was great. I liked him. Every scene he was in, I'm like, oh my god, that's Stoic. He's commanding my respect and all that because of his great voice. So I like Stoic was great. One of my favorite scenes was the scene where, I don't even remember this in the original, but maybe I'm sure it has to be, or maybe like in a different form or something. But it's when I think Toothless draws like a random shape, so like draws like a map or something in the sand with a stick. And then Hiccup is kind of like dancing around it. It's like trying not to step on the lines, and some music is playing, and I'm like, this is really good. I like that scene. That was a really good scene. What else is there? The dumb friend's dad has like I feel like maybe this was also in the original, but I liked it a lot more in this, which is that there's like one of these kids is like really dumb or whatever, and his dad like ignores him throughout the whole movie. And every time that happens, I was just like dying laughing. It was so funny. And then you get the eventual amazing payoff of like the dad acknowledging him at the end of the movie. It was really good. So that was great. And then what else? Oh, my last actual miscellaneous note is that the one thing that I must be something from the sequels that I haven't seen yet, because in this movie there's like a seer, or like a bunch of seers. I don't know if it's like one character or multiple, but there's like an old lady or something which is making predictions of the future, I think. And I don't remember that at all in the original. So that must be something that they know is going to become important in like future movies. So they're just seeding it here. So there was much more of a presence of that. But yeah, that was How to Train Your Dragon, both the original and the live action. And I like them both pretty great. They're good movies. Next up, we have 28 Weeks Later. So this is a movie. It's an hour and 40 minutes long, and I watched it on the 8th of June. So for context, this is part 2 of a 3-part series. So 28 days later, I watched quite a long time ago, I think. I don't think it was on any of these digests. I think it was like before I was even making YouTube videos. But it was a solid introductory, like we're doing an outbreak kind of, well, not an outbreak, we're like skipping the outbreak and we're like following someone in the life of a zombie apocalypse, like 28 days after the outbreak. It's good, it's slow, it's well directed, it's an interesting movie. I like it. I'd probably give it like a 4 out of 5. 28 Weeks Later is a very different type of movie. Although still in the same universe and still kind of feeling reminiscent of the previous movie. The premise of this movie is more so that it's been 28 weeks since the start of the outbreak of the zombie apocalypse, and basically humanity has pushed back the zombies. So they actually think they're about to overtake them. Now, of course, they don't eventually, and the zombies come back. It is a zombie movie or whatever, but it is an interesting premise of like, wow, we actually defeated the zombie apocalypse in 28 weeks. And the reason why is because the zombies eventually starved in those 28 weeks, which is interesting. I've never seen a movie like this. So I watch a lot of zombie stuff, and I've never seen a premise like this. So I liked it. It was really interesting. But the bulk of the movie is basically trying to escape the outbreak of zombies. Very different from the first one, which is much more slow when you're going place to place and so on and so forth. This one is much more like we're going to run away from zombies the whole time. And I would give this pretty much the same rating as the first one. It's a 4 out of 5. I like it. It's a solid zombie movie. This one doesn't do, I guess both of them, neither of them really do anything too original or crazy. Now, maybe at the time it was very original, right? Like 2003 or whenever the first one came out in 2007. Maybe movies like this hadn't been done yet. But these days I feel like I've seen a million things like this. But this is that kind of basic premise of running away from zombies done well. I liked it. Now, visually, it's an interesting movie. There's like things I like and there's things I don't like. And I think these movies are all tend to be pretty visually interesting. And we'll talk about 28 years later. But it's a lot of the time, incredibly grainy, incredibly dark, incredibly hard to tell what's happening, incredibly like shaky action. And I'm not a fan of any of that stuff. It's very hard to tell what's going on a lot of the time. A lot of this movie is set place during the night and it's just incredibly hard. But what I do like in this is like there's like a bunch of experimental shots. The footage kind of feels, not the footage, but yeah, I guess the footage or the camera or whatever, separate to the graininess, it kind of feels low quality in like a grounded kind of way, which I like, in kind of like a found footage kind of way. I like that. Although it's not a found footage movie at all. There's like interesting weird angles that are used. Like the directing is interesting in this. I like it. So on one hand, it doesn't look good for some of the action stuff, especially. On the other hand, looks really good. So I don't know, mixed bag, but I liked it. The main criticism of this movie is just how dumb the characters are. And there's like 3 examples I've got. One is the military is incredibly dumb. They're kind of warned by this scientist early on. Obviously, it's the most cliche thing of all time. Like the scientist is warning, oh my God, we need to like investigate this because the zombies might come back. And the military is like, it won't come back. If it comes back, we'll kill it. And I'm like, okay. So the military is dumb. Then we have the 2 kids. There's like the 2 kids are like the main characters in this movie pretty much. They leave the safe zone and go to the danger zone. And they're the reason the zombies come back basically. And I'm like, oh my God, like why are they leaving the safe zone? It's so dumb. Just their reason is that they just want to get stuff from their old house because they haven't seen their house in like a year or whatever, or 28 weeks, I guess. So this is dumb, very frustrating. And then obviously the final thing is that people break protocol in this a bunch, especially the main kid, like the 2 kids' dad. He breaks protocol, gets bitten by, or like gets blood to blood contact or whatever, like blood contact with his wife. And then that's the reason that the zombie outbreak happens, because people aren't following protocol. So frustrations, in an otherwise good movie, those are just the big frustrating elements. Now, let's see what else I've got here. Miscellaneous notes. The mother is very interesting in this, the way it's portrayed, which is that it's someone who is like clearly been infected by a virus, like the zombie virus, but the rage virus, I guess in this case, but hasn't fully turned. And it's like probably never going to turn, but it's like always like in a half kind of rage state where you don't quite know when she's going to turn out. And it's like engaging. It's like, oh my God, what, is it going to happen now? Is it going to happen now? Or is it never going to happen? I like that. Like it's an engaging element. And like even just like the first scene where it's like she's hugging the kid, but she's like hugging him so hard, and it's like, is she gonna kill him? And is she a zombie? Like what's happening? Like stuff like that is really good. One of the best scenes in this movie is probably the best scene in the movie, just visually and like intensity and stuff, is when the woman, like when the wife is like chained down to the bed because they're like, she's in like a isolation room basically so that she doesn't like infect anyone. And her husband comes in and like, I think they kiss, and because of the kissing, the saliva like gets him infected. And the speed in which he gets infected is crazy. Like within like a matter of like 30 seconds, he's already turned. But like there's really good effects and blood, and his eyes are changing color, and his lips are like bleeding. And there's like really like even after this scene, there's like a bunch of cool POV shots like following down as he's like like trying to basically infect the soldiers. Like it's really really well done. This is a really good scene. So yeah, really cool. And we love the mother character. She was great. Like the like acting wise, like character wise, it's all great. The opening scene of this movie is also really good. Like really intense is probably how I would describe it. Like they're having a nice chill, like kind of dinner or something in this really dark place because they don't want the zombies to see in. And then like out of nowhere, zombie breaks in. Everything, all hell is breaking loose. They have to leave. They get on a boat. The boat is crazy because the zombies are like grabbing onto the boat. It's incredibly intense. It was a really good start to this movie. I liked it a lot. What else is there? I guess also that I didn't mention this, but the premise of the movie is like, oh my god, we push the zombies back. And one of the initial appeals of the movie is like, when are the zombies going to come back? Like, what is going to be the inciting incident? Eventually, it is these dumb kids or whatever. But I mean, it's not really that because it's like the mother is more interesting, and the mother's the reason the zombie apocalypse comes back. But it is, you're constantly on edge at the beginning. Like, when is it? When are we going to turn a corner and there's going to be a zombie? Or like, what's going to happen? Is like the military going to try and experiment on someone? Like, well, what's happening? That was an interesting appeal. What else was there? And also now just my final kind of stuff. Oh no, I have more actually. There's a bunch of cool shots I've listed. So there's one where the jets are like flying into the city and they're flying like super fast. It's like, wow, this is so cool. There's the shots of the fire. They basically, the jets like drop a bunch of napalm or fire or something and explode the city. And like there's fire engulfing people. That was really done. There's like fire spreading throughout this entire city. That's a really cool visual. There's this crazy action piece of like a helicopter. There's like a bunch of zombies and a helicopter like turns to the side and like uses his blades to like cut all the zombies. And like, man, that was really cool. There's also shots in like the final action piece or like final like set piece or whatever in this movie is when they're walking in a very dark tunnel where you literally can't see anything and only the camera can see because it's like night vision. The night vision was like a cool visual. I like that. Yeah. What else is there? The music is apparently, actually, I don't remember this, but I do have a note in it. I said the music is really good for creating an intense atmosphere. Now, none of the music stands out. I don't remember it, but I guess I thought that at the time. One disappointment in this is, however, the plot twist at the end, which is a plot twist that is like abandoned, I guess, in 28 years later, I think, which is that at the end of this movie, the reveal is that, oh my god, zombies have reached France. So they've left the island of, I think it's in the UK, right? Yeah, it is, because the Big Ben is like in the first movie. It's left the island and now it's like in another country in Europe, and the zombie outbreak is going to go everywhere. And it kind of falls flat because personally, nothing in this movie hints at this being a local kind of incident. Like, I know the first movie they say it, like, oh my god, the zombies are only in like this one place and they haven't left. And I know in this movie, I think they also maybe say it at some points, but it's like, to me, like, maybe we had to just see that the rest of the world is fine instead of just being told it. Like, I just don't believe it. I don't believe that the rest of the world just is continuing on while there's like a massive zombie outbreak here. Like, I feel like they're just everywhere. Like, even realistically, like, how does that happen? Surely there's going to be like one zombie that like accidentally crosses the water. And I guess at the end of this movie it does happen. But the twist basically falls flat because it didn't even cross my mind that the rest of the world is fine. So when they say like, oh my god, I got to France, I'm like, wait, wasn't it France? Wasn't it like everywhere? Isn't it the whole world? So I don't know, it's like a little bit my fault. It's also a little bit the movie's fault for not making it as clear, I guess, or like kind of showing us examples of like the world outside being, nice and good. But yeah, now my final note is that very similar to 28 Days Later, I think this is a movie where I don't think I'd really watch it again. Like, the primary appeal of it is like the engaging first watch through where you're not quite sure when the zombies are gonna come up. You're not sure, like, are they gonna live at the end of this? Like, it's more like the suspense is like the interesting element of like what is gonna happen. Very similar to 28 Days Later in a way. Now that I think 28 Days Later probably has like a little bit more rewatchability to it because it's more of a character kind of movie. But this one is very much like I don't know if I'll ever watch this again. But my first watch through, great, 4 out of 5. Now, next up, we have 28 Years Later. So this came out this year. I watched it in the movie theaters in 2025. It's a movie. It's an hour and 55 minutes long, and I watched it on the 23rd of June. So I'll just get right into it because I've just talked about 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later. 28 Years Later is the best of the 3, like, easily. I like this the most. It's a 4 out of 5 as well. This is very engaging. It never felt boring. It ends at like the perfect moment where I'm like, this is great. Nice long, almost 2 hours, but also feels like I could watch more if I had to. It's good. Its primary appeal is just how like, I don't even know how to say this. It's just so different. Like the 28 Days Later, like I said, it's like exploring a zombie world. Like, what is it like day to day in like this 28 days after a zombie apocalypse has happened? Like, what do people do? Do they hide here? Do they like run around the streets? Whatever. That's the first one. Second one is like, oh my god, this is a zombie outbreak. We need to get away. But the military is also hunting us. We need to get away. Like, that's the primary one. It's like a running away kind of movie, the second one. This one is like a slow kind of exploration of how society, both in terms of human society and zombie society, has evolved over the last 28 years. And it's fascinating. Now, I do also want to rewatch this. Now, I'll probably rewatch it when it comes to digital. I don't think I'm going to go to the theaters and watch it again. But there are some things that go over my head a little bit, like the whole mechanism of how the zombie kind of system, like society, how that works and everything. I want to watch it again. But the primary appeal is absolutely that. Yeah, it's interesting. Now, just more like taking more specifically and talking about the movie, I think the actual, like, the more interesting plot-wise appeal is that you kind of get seeded this idea of like a doctor early on, and you never see his face and you never quite know what's happening, and it's like a mystery of like what type of guy is this, and eventually in the final act you kind of see the doctor and you get to learn more about his philosophy and everything, and that was like really interesting. Like, I'm engaged at the beginning, like trying to find out who this guy is, and you actually get an interesting reveal at the end. And he's played by Voldemort. Oh my god, Ray Fiennes or whatever. It's really cool. So that was good. What else is there? Now I said 28 weeks later has a fantastic opening scene. The opening scene in this is even better. This is legitimately one of my favorite opening scenes to anything ever. I was so invested in this because, number one, it's like a zombie thing. I love zombie outbreaks. It's great. The premise of this opening scene is, if you've seen the trailers, you know what it is, which is that it's like these kids are like watching the Teletubbies and they're kind of like scared because the adults outside are like freaking out because the zombie apocalypse, like the outbreak just happened, or it just got to where they are basically. So at the beginning of this movie, we follow basically one of the kids who are watching the Teletubbies as they kind of like struggling to get away from the zombies. The zombies break into their house. They hide in the kitchen. Then he runs to the church, and then he goes to the church and sees some guy. I can assume is his dad probably. And the dad is saying, "Oh, it's okay, son. You know, this was all destined to be, and this is God's plan, and we should be blessed that they're here and happy that the zombies are here." And then the dad dies, and the kid is hiding, and it's like the whole thing that's happening in this opening scene. Now, that probably sounds like pretty standard and boring, but the interesting thing about this is that it is directed and edited, and the music and all the acting, everything is made to portray this opening scene as a positive thing. It's really interesting. Like, I don't quite remember what it was. This is why I want to rewatch it again, or maybe just like watch the opening scene to see it again. But I feel like there was like positive music, or the way it was like kind of used was like very positive. It's like, oh my god, we're like triumphing in this moment. And the guy, the priest at the end is like speaking about, he's like celebrating, and the zombies, the way they carry the guy up, and the way he's like holding his hands up or whatever, like it's like he's celebrating being eaten. And it's like a really, really interesting way of, like, usually in the scene like this, you'd be portraying it using scary music and all the characters would be terrified or whatever. But in this moment, it's like a triumphant thing that the zombies have come and killed the people, which is, I guess, probably a meta commentary on the fact that, like, maybe it's something to do with the thematic idea of like these two societies evolving, and how like maybe the zombies have the right idea about how to live or something like that, and maybe the humans don't, which I haven't truly thought about this at all. Like, I'm sure someone has an interesting thematic deep dive into 28 years later, but it's certainly not me. But yeah, it's interesting. What a cool opening scene. Oh my goodness. All right, what else is there? The main actor in this is a kid. The main character is a kid. Fantastic actor. Not once did I ever like get taken out and be like, oh, it's like bad kid acting or anything. Fantastic. Liked him a lot. Another thing is that this movie has amazing visuals. I like this a lot. There's like, actually I got three here that I like a lot. One is that this is probably the best, besides the opening scene, which I love a lot. The best scene in the movie is probably when they're running back on the land bridge to get back to to their city, and they're being chased by the big alpha zombie, and it's terrifying the way it's directed. And you see like there's just beautiful shots of like the starry sky in the background. Beautiful. I really like that. That was really cool. What else is there? Oh, and then also just like after they arrive back on the bridge and they arrive back in the city, and they're having a party for the kid who's like gone on his first outing and has survived and like killed zombies and everything. It's like the way it's directed, I don't know what it is. It was like anxiety inducing, which is obviously the intent, because the kid is also like basically having an anxiety attack when he's at the party. But it's like so loud, and the kid's like heart is like beating, and man, I was like getting anxiety. I was like, oh my god, and it's very like, I don't know if a scene has ever made me have as much anxiety as this scene did at the birthday party. So it was really well directed. That was fantastic. There's also, throughout the early parts especially, but I think continuously throughout the movie, there's like a bunch of insert shots of these, it's like really red tinted, maybe it's like a particular lens or something, like an infrared lens or something, but of zombies eating a deer, and it's so like scary, and the way they look, and I like it a lot. That was really great. And there's also throughout the early part of this movie, there's a lot of insert shots of like random, I think like medieval battles and basically like examples of like of wars in old human society and how like society has like progressed since then. And I think it's commenting on like the cycle of violence or something like that. I don't quite know what the commentary of this movie is making. I am certain it is saying something interesting though. I'd need to watch it again to kind of piece that together, but it was, yeah, interesting. But those are my overall. Oh no, wait, no, I have one more overall thought, which is that the ending scene in this is wild. A bunch of like ninja zombie hunters like jump down and they have like sticks and they're like doing these crazy moves and stuff. And I'm like, this is like so much different than any of the other movies. Which is kind of in line with this movie series, which is that all these movies are so different. Like I've said a million times, 28 Days Later is like a very different premise and like feel to 28 Weeks Later, which is a very different premise and feel to 28 Years Later. And I'm assuming the next movie, I don't remember what it's called. It's like 28 Years Later Bone something. I assume that's going to be very different as well, which I'm looking forward to very much. I'm absolutely going to watch the next movie in this series. But yeah, those are my overall thoughts. Now, there are a few things that I didn't like in this movie. One of them is a directing thing, which is that whenever a zombie would get shot by a bow and arrow, there was like this weird freeze frame, like it'd freeze and like turn around, like to show the zombie getting hit. I'm like, this is weird. I don't know. I don't like this at all. Like I was hoping maybe, oh, by the end of this movie, I'll like it or something, but I never really came around to it. I don't quite like it at all. There's also a scene where the mother who has like cancer and is like infecting her brain or whatever. There's a scene where she is asleep and the kid is like meant to stay guard for zombies that are coming, but he falls asleep and slowly a zombie is like approaching him and is about to bite him. But then the mum kills it like randomly, and I'm like, that was strange. Like why? How? Like she doesn't remember this, and how did she suddenly kill it? Like it was weird. I didn't like that scene at all. That was strange when the mum killed the zombie when the kid was sleeping. And then like a little bit of a thing that I didn't like, but I also kind of like this, and it's like I'm a bit mixed on it, I guess, is when the doctor character at the end of the movie, he just like doesn't kill the alpha guy, the alpha zombie, and almost gets killed because of it. And it's like a little frustrating. It's like, man, why don't you just like kill this thing so you don't have to deal with it anymore? But at the same time, it's like he has a very strong philosophy about like death being important, or like death maybe not being, but whatever it is. He has a big complex about death. So maybe he thinks that like the zombies should live their natural lives and he shouldn't try and interfere with them or something like that. He probably has a big philosophy about this basically. So I kind of justify it, but it is a little frustrating, I guess. But yeah, those are things I don't like. What other miscellaneous notes? Let's see. The pregnant zombie is a crazy thing. It is true. Also related to the pregnant zombie, they use the word zombie in this, which I guess makes sense because like it's used by the Eric guy who comes from, I think, Sweden. So he comes from outside the UK, so there's no zombies out there, which is also wild to think about how in 28 years, the world outside has like progressed so far, whereas the world inside has like regressed basically. But yeah, he says, sorry, the word zombie comes back because he's like, it's a zombie baby. And I'm like, oh my God, they use the word zombie in this zombie movie. It's kind of crazy. But I guess it makes sense. What else is there? The Voldemort is in this. Sure, I already said that. And there's a great joke, which is that, the doctor holds up Eric's skull and is like, alas, poor Eric. And I'm like, oh my God, I get it. It's like a Shakespeare reference, you know, alas, poor Yorick or whatever. We love it. Anyway, that was 28 Years Later. Really, really good zombie movie. One of my favorites. I like it a lot. Next up, we have No Longer Human. So this is a book. I read it I listened to the audiobook in roughly 4 hours, and I finished it on the 13th of June. Now, it took me a few days to read, but whatever. Now, just a preface to this, because I haven't read many books on this digest. This is only the second book ever. The first one was Algorithms to Live By back in 2023 when I was living in Boston. Now, you're probably wondering, why did you read a book, Ari? And the reason for this is that, guess what? I am part of a book club. And when I say book club, I mean an online book club, okay? I wouldn't do an in-person one. Let's not get crazy. But yeah, my friend has organized a book club. There's like a few people that are going to be coming every week. Oh, not every week, sorry. Geez, every time we meet, which is like once a month maybe. So I don't know, basically look forward. Maybe I'll be reading some more books and talking about them on digest. So that's the premise behind this. But yeah, I'm getting into books. Isn't that crazy? So No Longer Human. This is not a good book though. It was a 2 out of 5. I really didn't enjoy this. So the premise for this is that it's a Japanese book, like by a Japanese author, written in Japanese, I have to assume initially, about this guy who basically doesn't fit in with society, or at least thinks he doesn't fit in, which is, I think, probably the most interesting thing about this, which is that in reality, he probably does fit in. But it's basically telling his life story from being a kid, all the way to being like he's he's institutionalized, like put in like a mental asylum, I think, and then eventually is let out and lives on his own. And it's an incredibly depressing story about this guy who just doesn't feel like he's human anymore or whatever. Um, yeah. Now, the thing with this is that I think this was incredibly hard to understand in that I think I probably needed to either reread this or like when I read through, I needed to like pay more attention to it or something because a lot of the names like went over my head. A lot of the details were like a bit, they're very fuzzy in my head. Like there's a lot that I probably don't quite understand. And maybe a part of it is just how old the book is. Like I think it came out in what, I don't even know, 1940 or something, like, or a long time ago. Yeah, so I don't know, maybe the age has something to do with it. It was a difficult book to read. Not in terms of like, oh man, these words are crazy or anything, but like I just kept losing track of things. So I don't know, it's a big fault in this and probably why it's a 2 out of 5 and not a 3 out of 5, but it is what it is. But talking positively about it before I talk about negatively about it, the absolute appeal of this book is just how utterly depressing it is. Like I got to the end of this and I was like, man, what a depressing life this man has lived. And I felt it, which is a good thing. Like I did feel like very, like I felt the depression when I got to the end of this, which is interesting. Like his entire life, basically, this guy has gone on and like, he's gone on to play a certain character. Like he doesn't want to be his true self because he feels like his true self doesn't fit in because it feels like he's just different to everyone else. Like whenever people talk to him and they're so happy and stuff, and he personally like doesn't feel that same happiness or he doesn't like people or anything. And it's like, man, I must be different. Let me just play the character that let me play the character that other people want me to play. Let me pretend like I'm like all these other humans that seemingly act differently to me, and have different goals and different like interests, and let me act like those people. And the tragedy, I think, in my mind is that he puts on this act of another, but in reality, he really isn't that different. Like it's a character that I can relate to this guy, where it's like I don't know quite how to explain it, but it's like he reads into like social, like he reads things, like he like reads other people and like implies their intentions, and he like thinks is like. He thinks that the things that he's thinking are like so unique to him, but they're not. Like other people like clearly think these things. I wish I had more examples, but I don't. But this is like the vibe I get where I'm like, I feel bad for this guy because he never realized that he's just like everyone else in the end. He's like another human, just like everyone else. And everyone has these struggles that he goes through. Yeah, it was interesting, but yeah. Let me see my actual notes. So utterly depressing, and I do like that it's utterly depressing. His entire life, he's felt so much like an other, and when he forms this first genuine connection with this young girl, she is raped or assaulted. I couldn't really tell if she was raped or like just like touched like in an assault way. I have no idea, but something happens, and then he loses all hope in humanity. That was utterly depressing too. What else is there? There's the bit where he's describing Yoshiko, who's the young girl who gets raped. He's describing that she had extreme trust in people, and that trust is like what he really appreciated about her, and that trust is what led to her being assaulted. And it's very like that is an affecting kind of. I remember that was like the bit where I got the most emotional. Like, man, that sucks. That like her like trusting nature is what led to her kind of her eventually facing the brunt of evil humanity or whatever. Like it was really sad and affecting. Yeah, I think this is what I was trying to say before. The utterly depressing thing about this book is that his depressing life was caused by the person he chose to be. He created his own destruction by playing the character of Yozo Oba and seeing others as different from himself. Yeah, this is like the primary appeal of this, like a guy who thinks he's different but really isn't. But yeah, one interesting thing about this is that the story opens with a prologue where it's talking about 3 pictures of this guy, and it's like him as a kid, him as like a teen or like early adult, and him as like a adult, like back like full like 30 or something like that, 27, 30, something like that. And it basically is told by this narrator who I think we never really find out who it is, but it's someone who received the notebooks that structure this story. And he's looking at these pictures before we know anything about the actual main character. We haven't read the story yet, but we're getting descriptions of like what he looks like when he was younger, what he looks like in the like second photo, and what he looks like in the third one. And it's so interesting. The first time you're like, okay, this is interesting. A guy who's kind of like weird and like people don't like him, and like he's smiling, but it doesn't look natural. And the narrator is kind of seeing the way that Yozo kind of sees himself, which is like he's putting on a fake smile, and he's really like a disgusting, repulsive person. And the narrator kind of sees through this, which is interesting. Yeah. I guess, yeah, I'm just trying to think. Like the interesting thing about like basically it's really interesting to go back and read this a second time, which I did do. I went back and I listened to this opening scene after I've now seen the story of Yozo. And the interesting thing is that the narrator the narrator understands him. Like like it truly is like the fact that the narrator sees straight through the act that Yozo is putting on is there's like I don't know, there's something really fascinating about it. I don't quite know what it is, but it's like Yozo thinks he's putting on this amazing appearance and no one sees through him. Now there are a few characters in this that potentially do see through him, but the narrator is one of them. I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know quite what to say, but it is an interesting scene. I like it a lot. Yeah. What else is there? It's interesting how relatable it is. We all think we're special and different, putting on a face to the world. Especially amazing considering, oh yeah, this book is incredibly old, but it feels like it could have just been written in the modern day. Like there's no real big tells in this, besides I guess the communism mentioned or whatever, like the Marxism, whatever they say. That really dates this, and it makes me wonder if this is the translation I read is like more of a modernization, like if they updated certain things to be more like appealing to the modern day, because it just feels like, oh, I can relate to this guy, and I'm like, it's not only is it someone from like the 90s. Let me Google when did this book come out? No longer human date. Yeah, 1948. So not only is this like a guy from 1948, it's a Japanese guy like in 1948. Like, and how can I relate to this guy so strongly and feel like his daily life is like something I could imagine happening today? Like it's wild. Yeah, impressively relatable is what I would say this book is, or at least like capable of you relating to it as a modern person relating to this old like 1948 time period. It's interesting. What else is there? Thinking about something. Oh, this is like another element of being relatable, which is that in this book at some point, he's like having some deep thought about something, and someone comes up to him and is like, "Oh, what are you doing right now?" And he like completely like pretends he wasn't thinking about it and says, "Oh, I was just like, I was doing something," or like he like gives an excuse basically, and like and doesn't even skip a beat on like giving an excuse for what he was actually thinking about, and like says he was thinking about something else entirely. And that's incredibly relatable. Like I've done stuff like that before. This is kind of cool. There's a relatable scene where it's like all of his friends like telling him all these girls are like saying to try on their glasses, and I'm like, oh, it's like really relatable, cool stuff like this, like small things where I'm like, man, humans just haven't changed much in the last like 70 years or whatever. It's interesting, or society, I guess. But yeah, what else is there? There's one line I have quoted here, which was a very affecting line towards the end of the book, which is that I was no longer a criminal, I was a lunatic, but no, I was definitely not mad. I have never been mad for even an instant. And then later on, I had now ceased utterly to be a human being. I'm like, oh my god, this depressing story. Oh my goodness. Oh, excuse me. But yeah, that's that. Now, there's two things that I don't care for in this. One of them is like just any element of like either critique or like thematic like storytelling or whatever. Anything to do with the modernization of Japan, basically. Like, I don't find that interesting. Like, oh my god, he like can't adapt to a new society. Like, I don't care about that whatsoever. It didn't appeal to me whatsoever. Oh Jesus! The second thing that I didn't like, or like didn't appeal to me whatsoever, is that the main character gets very like poetic and philosophical in like all of the things that he's saying toward the end of this book, and I just like all of that falls over my head. Falls, what's the expression? Like it goes oh my god, goes over my head, and I don't like it. Yeah, I don't like, and this is like a thing I don't like in a lot of media. Like whenever they start like reciting poems or like reading things from books, and I'm like, I don't like any of this, and I didn't like it in this either. But yeah. Now I have 3 miscellaneous notes, which are very miscellaneous, I think. One of them is the presence of communism and Marxism in this, which is really interesting because, like, I guess I don't know much about history, okay? I'm very ignorant when it comes to history, but it is kind of crazy how prevalent communism must have been if it like just reached some random guy in like Japan. For some reason, I just assumed communism was like a thing in like, oh, America and Russia, and it's like they had a big war of like communism versus like capitalism or whatever. But no, it's like even just some random Yerbo, or what's his name? Yerzo Urbo or something. Like he is like getting in this communism meeting, and I'm like, oh my god, this is crazy, and how widespread it was. So that was interesting. What else is there? One is that another note is that there's an interesting, I probably should have put this earlier, but like there's an interesting scene in this, which is one of those moments in a story where it's like a character is realizing like retrospectively as they're telling the story that this was the moment where everything changed. And in this, it's like a scene where he's saying, I wish I had changed things in this moment. It's when Flatfish is like asking him what he's going to do, like going forward. I think this is after his second suicide attempt, I think. And the author is kind of going on about how like, oh, if only I knew in this moment that Flatfish would have offered to like pay for my school, or like my parents would pay for my school, and I would have just happily gone to school, but I didn't because I didn't think that they would. And it's like this utterly depressing thing of a man reflecting on his life and thinking, if only I had done something different in this moment, how happy my life would have been. Or like how different I guess his life would have been. It's yeah, heartbreaking. And my final miscellaneous note on this is that this is a book that I think is best served as a book. Now, you could maybe do this as like, I think when I had my book club, someone brought up that you could do this as like a stage play where people like doing soliloquies or something, which is probably true. That could happen. You could do that. That would be interesting. But I think it is best served as a book because the primary appeal of this is absolutely being inside the character's head, getting his thoughts, seeing how depressed and how just distorted his perception of reality is. That is the primary appeal, and I think it is best served as a book, and it can, it's a book. Anyway, that was No Longer Human. A 2 out of 5. You know, maybe I'll rewatch it. I'll reread it, and I'll like it more, but I haven't yet, so it's a 2 out of 5 for now. Anyway, let me drink some water. Oh my god. Okay, next up we have No Longer Human. Okay, I don't know if I'm cutting that out, but okay, I made a mistake. Right, we'll go next. Next up we have K-pop Demon Hunters 2025. So this is a movie. It's an hour and 35 minutes long, and I watched it on the 26th of June. So this is a movie that like is very popular now. At the time that I watched it, I don't think it was that popular. I think my friend was like, "Oh, I watched this movie the other day. It's so good. We should watch it." And then I watched it. And I don't think it was as popular. It certainly wasn't as popular as it is now. So, I have to say, I watched this before it's popular. Anyway, this movie has a very, very, very good premise, which is that I just wrote something down. So let me just read this out. So every generation, there's 3 women who are tasked with holding back demons by singing songs. In the modern day, this is the responsibility held by the K-pop group called Huntrix. Then to level the playing field, the demons create a K-pop boy band called the Suja Boys to try and take away from Huntrix's influence and popularity. So this is basically like it's like a musical with a K-pop band and then like another K-pop band who's like made of demons, and they're like fighting like through music in popularity. And like if the Huntrix is less popular, then the demons get more power, and if the demons are less popular, then Huntrix gets more power, and it is just great. I love it. The premise, that is. Now the movie is also really good. This is a 4 out of 5. Now this is a movie where I started out like in the first, I don't know, like 10 minutes, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I am not gonna like this movie. It was like goofy, and the comedy was bad, and like that was about music and stuff. I'm like, I don't like music. I was scared that I wasn't gonna like this, but you know what? By the end of it, I was really into this, especially the climax scene in this, which is basically like the Suja Boys. They do this amazing dance. It's so cool, which I've watched like a million times afterwards, and I like the song. The songs in this movie I've also heard like a million times. Anyway, let me get to the point here. They're doing this really cool dance and cool visuals and everything, and then I think Rumi, I don't remember any of the names that well, but I think it's Rumi. She's like steps in and she like does her song, and her like 2 friends like stepping in and they're like singing together, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so amazing, and they like push back the demons, and I was like, legitimately, the climax of this movie is like a 5 out of 5. I was so invested at that point. And the guy like sacrifices himself for the sake of love, and because her song like saved him or saved his soul. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's so good. I was very, it's a good movie, especially the climax. Like I said before, the music in this is also the primary appeal. The songs in this are fantastic. I've listened to them like a million times afterwards, at least like maybe 4 or 5 of them. But this movie is very much like I know what they used to say about Arcane, which is that Arcane is like a collection of music videos. Like there's music playing and animation is happening. This is also very much that type of style, which is like you have a music piece with really cool animation and direction and really good singing, and the song itself is just great. And then you have like the scenes between the songs, which are like, oh, the girls are like hanging out, and there's like some semblance of a plot, and there's like romance and stuff. But the primary thing is like, okay, we're doing musical sequence, and it's great. It's legitimately a musical movie. I love musicals. I was bound to love this. It was great. So yeah, the music, let me see. The music is the appeal and is the highlight. Basically a bunch of connected animated music videos with a decently engaging story and some sprinkled romance elements. So true. Now, I'm singing praises for this, and this is a fantastic movie, and the way I'm describing it probably sounds like this should absolutely be a 5 out of 5. But the primary drawback is that this movie feels a bit lifeless, is probably what I would say. Which is that in this movie, I can see it. I can see that there is like a 5 out of 5 movie in this. If only the characters had been given more character moments earlier. If only the interactions were like a little bit better. Like if only there was like some like the thematic like thing kind of worked a bit better. Like I see it, The animation is so good in this. The art is like also pretty good. The directing, especially in the music video stuff, is really good. And the rest of it's like okay. Like if only the story itself was like a little better, I could easily imagine this being a 5 out of 5. But yeah, that's my main, like the reason this is a 4 out of 5, not a 5 out of 5, but it is what it is. Anyway, those are my overall thoughts on K-pop Demon Hunters. Now, miscellaneous notes wise, I have like just a bunch of stuff that's random. So number one is that the voice actors in this are completely separate to the singers in this. So there's a very big mismatch in the actual voices that are coming out of their mouths when they start singing, and it's very noticeable. And it just doesn't, like, even sometimes, yeah, first that's like one thing, but also sometimes the animation for the faces also doesn't match the talking sometimes, like the voice actor. Like, it's just a general thing where I'm like, they're like not quite expressive enough. But at the same time, it is an incredibly expressive like animation style, or animation way of animating the characters. But I don't know, sometimes, a lot of the time, it would take me out. It'd be like, oh, like the speech is a bit weird. And even also, I think when they're singing as well, it does happen. But whatever. Anyway, miscellaneous note. I like the outfits in this. Great. Here's an example here. I love the colors. The colors are really good. You can even see here, it's like a really cool, like, you know, hue to it, like a pink kind of hue. Every scene is like a very different hue. I like it. The colors are great. Animation, like I said, is absolutely fantastic. It's like up there in terms of like Spider-Verse and like Arcane kind of animation. But the directing, like I said, outside of the dance sequences, which are the music sequences and dances, which are amazing at directing. The rest of the movie, I'm not really that much of a fan of the directing. And the art is like, it's nowhere near like Arcane or like Spider-Verse levels, even though it very clearly is like, I don't know, inspiration is like a hard thing to say because who knows when this movie was actually made, but very clearly, very, very similar to both Arcane and Into the Spider-Verse. So I have to assume is inspired by both of those. But it's nowhere near in terms of like actual quality as those two, which are like far, far and away better in terms of animation and art and all that. But it's really good. I have to say that. In terms of characters, Zoe is my favorite. She's, oh my God, this one. She's the funny one, the quirky one, the energetic one. We love her the best. She's fantastic. There's also a random bird character in this, which is like a little bird that's like wearing a hat, and it's really cute. And I like that bird a lot. Fantastic. The comedy in this is a mixed bag in that some of it isn't good, especially at the beginning. I was like, oh no, I'm not liking this. Oh, excuse me, just burping. You know, like they do in the movie, they burp sometimes, and it's like a comedy thing. I'm like, I don't like that. Oh my God, I'm burping again. Anyway, but some of it is like genuinely like hilarious. Especially like there's this one scene where the members of Huntrix and the Suja Boys are like signing together, like they're doing a fan signing, and there's just so many like funny things that are happening there. And I was like, it was actually really funny. And I have like a few of them. Okay, one of them is like great, and I'm sure if you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about, which is that, oh my God, I forgot her name. Zoe, was that her name? Yeah. When she's like sitting down, she's like, I don't like the Suja Boys. And one of the Suja Boys sit next to her, and she's like, hey, what's up? And I'm like, this is great. Good acting. Very funny. And she's like telling off the Suja Boys, like, no, Suja Boy, bad Suja Boy. And I'm like, this is great. They're signing like this guy's cast of like a leg, and they're like dragging his leg around because they're like fighting on who's going to sign it. He's like freaking out. There's the guy with the I think his name is Abs, and he's like etching his abs on like this drawing that he's giving to the fans. And there's like a girl who's like shipping the two characters. And I'm like, this is just, it's so great. Hilarious scene. I love that scene a lot. And I've watched a lot of reactions to that scene specifically to see people laugh, you know, just like me. So yeah. Anyway, one bit of criticism, again, like talking about thematic stuff and all that, which is that this movie tries to draw a parallel between two characters, which is Rumi, the main girl, who is like half demon or like has these like demon like marks on her, and Genu, who's like a demon guy who abandoned his family and to get like the status of being a demon or whatever, and is like kind of bad for that, you know. And the parallel is meant to be that like, oh my God, these two, they're both like symbolically demons, you know, although they're both literally demons, they're also symbolically demons, right? But the thing is that like Genu is metaphorically a demon because he left his family behind, right? He actually did something bad. But on the other hand, Rumi is a demon because she has marks on her. Like she hasn't done anything bad. There's like a bad side to her or anything. Like there's nothing that she has to kind of be forgiven for or anything like that. So I feel like the connection between these two kind of falls flat a little bit. Now, maybe there's like details in this that I'm missing, and maybe on a rewatch I'd like get it and I'd be like, oh, there actually is more of a genuine connection here, and it's like symbolic, metaphorical like layer. But I kind of missed it in this watch through, I guess. Because it's like I don't see what Genu sees in terms of the metaphor of like her being a demon. I don't know what he sees in her in that way, because it's like she hasn't done anything wrong. She literally is just like for her story, it's like a self-acceptance story. I get it. She's like, oh, I'm different. You know, I have like marks on me. I'm like different. But Genu's story is more about like, I'm a bad person. And I'm like, I don't quite like, I feel like the movie's trying to make a parallel here between the two of them, but it doesn't quite land, I guess. But maybe I'm missing something. I'll watch it again. And this is a movie I'll probably watch again in the next few weeks, but yeah, we'll see. What else is there? Oh, there's a fantastic scene in this, which is the Golden song we love. Gonna be golden, or whatever that song. There's like a scene, like action piece wise, where she like grabs the golden ring and she like ascends into the audience and is like holding on to this ring and is like speaking to all the people, like singing to them. I'm like, this is so great. Like for a second there, I was like, oh my god, I can't believe she just did that. Like how is the actor doing this? But then I realized it's like an animated thing. Like really, like I was really invested in the scene. It was good. What else is there? Oh, just, like I said, superficially, it's like obviously inspired by Arcane and Spider-Verse, but directly, Rumi, as a character is like very similar to Jinx, both at least like superficially, not like if you go deep into it or anything, but superficially they're very similar. Like in terms of their design, very similar, like long hair, like braided back. The color of the hair is like very similar, like it's purple and versus Jinx's blue, and in some scenes it looks legitimately blue for Rumi's hair, and it's like, man, she really looks like Jinx here. She's got like the marks, like the demon marks, where Jinx has like the what are they called? The purple thing. She has the marks on her too after she got injected by the thing. And even just like superficially, like thematically, Rumi is all about the world, like trying to get the world to accept her and also like trying to accept herself or whatever. And Jinx is like a very similar thing as well, of like she is Jinx. She is not Powder. The world is trying to make her Powder, but like Vi is like trying to accept her as Powder, but you know, Jinx is Jinx. It's like a whole, like, there's a scene in this where it's like, why couldn't you love me? And then the mother figure is like, I did. And then Rumi like yells out, all of me. And I'm like, and I'm really invested. I like this a lot. But it's also bringing parallels to like Jinx and Arcane, obviously. So, you know, there's a lot of really cool parallels in this. Unintentionally so, but you know, they're great. If you're an Arcane fan, you're like, man, oh my god, Rumi's just like Jinx. Anyway, second last note. I just clicked my tongue. I don't know why I did that, but this movie also takes me a little bit back to my childhood. Now, I don't have any particular examples. I tried to think of some, and I got two of them. And they're the Cheetah Girls, if anyone's seen it, and Lizzie McGuire, the movie. And both of these are like, you have, at least one of them is like, you got a band of girls or whatever, and I think they have struggles, and they break up, and they come back, and whatever. It's like a whole thing. I don't remember it quite well, but, and you've got Lizzie McGuire at the end. She's like doing this big musical piece, and she's like, you know, finding her identity and all that, and she's singing proudly on the stage. And it very much felt like, oh, I'm watching one of those movies. And the scene that really makes it feel like is the case, is the final song, which is why I've chosen this as the image here, because it's probably my favorite scene. It is my favorite scene, sorry, but it's when Rumi steps in and she's like singing by herself, and she's like talking about like, oh, I should have accepted the broken glass, whatever. Like I have a line here, what is it? I broke into a million pieces and I can't go back, but now I'm seeing all the beauty in the broken glass. Which doesn't rhyme when I say it in my Australian accent, but when you sing it, it does, and it's really sick. Best song ever. But you have her coming in, and she's talking about like self-acceptance or whatever, and she's like singing, and then like one by one, like each of the two other girls like are walking in, and they're like doing their verse in the song, and it's like they're all coming back together, and they're singing their different parts of the song, and I'm like, this is what a brilliant climax. And it does remind me of like some of those musicals I saw as a kid. So it was good. This is a good movie. That's all my notes on K-Pop Demon Hunters. I highly recommend this. I don't know why you watch this if you're, you know, I probably just spoiled everything, but I highly recommend this movie. Fantastic movie. Now, finally on this digest, we have Porcupine Lake. So this is a movie from 2017, and I watched it, or it's an hour and 25 minutes long, and I watched it on the 27th of June. So the premise for this is that a young girl, I think she's like 13 or something, she moves to a small town in Canada in the summer, and she makes a new friend while she's there. And this is a romance movie, okay? Now, the funny thing about this is that this is a ChatGPT recommendation. So my friend was like, oh, you know, ChatGPT, what do you know about me? What's a movie that I would like based on like the movies that I've seen and what you know about me? And he recommended this. I'm like, okay, let's watch this. So yeah, Porcupine Lake. This was a 3 out of 5. It's a mixed bag. I would say it slightly leans on the positive side though. Like I wouldn't say this isn't like a boring movie at all. Like it is very, like I'm engaged throughout it. But I would say I wasn't very emotionally invested is probably the way I would describe it. It's engaging, but not emotionally investing. It very much feels like a slice of life kind of movie. Like the premise, like I said, the premise is like, it's like a romance, but like a drama as well. And the girl is like living her life and is like trying to, it makes a friend and all that. And you're following them throughout their days. And, there's no big, like, there is a climax, but it's like there's not like big events of rising action and falling out. It's like just a slice of life in a similar way to the Florida Project, but it doesn't land anywhere near like how the Florida Project does in portraying the slice of life. And I don't know quite why. It might be a bit of the story, might be a bit of the directing, might be a bit of the acting, but yeah, it's fine. It's perfectly fine is how I would describe it. The most interesting thing in this movie is kind of like side characters in this, which are the parents. The girl's parents are really interesting. They have like an interesting dynamic where it's like at times they're like happy, at times they're like upset. Clearly they're like on the verge of divorce, but maybe they're also not. And it's like, Like they have good chemistry, but there's like a bit of awkward like tension, and like they're fighting at times. It's like an interesting. They're like in the backdrop of the movie. They're no point are they like the focus of it. But it's fascinating. You know, I like the parents in this. That was the best part. What else? I guess another thing is that acting wise, like I don't think the kid actors were particularly good. But also I couldn't tell if it was like intentional. Like maybe the main girl is like seeming a bit strange in the way that she's delivering lines because she's like autistic or something. I have no idea. But like it was like the acting did seem a bit off. That's probably what I chalk it up to, bad acting. But yeah. And my other final overall note on this is that this is a romance movie, but the relationship between the two girls like moves incredibly fast. Like I think one of the girls like kisses the other one like really quickly. I'm like, oh, this is like happening really quick. But I get it feels a bit weird when you're watching it, but also at the same time it like makes sense because one girl is like incredibly passive and is like wanting, at least like letting whatever happen to her, and the other girl is like incredibly aggressive and is like pursuing the relationship like really hard because she obviously wants to go escape the life that she's currently in. Like it all makes sense. But it is important to note that it does move very fast. But what else? Now I've got my miscellaneous notes. There's one really cool shot in this movie that like stands out, which is where you've got the mother is looking out. I don't know why I pointed myself when I said the mother, but the mother is looking out the window and she sees her daughter like walking away in the distance, and she's like, you get a point of view shot of that, and it's really cool. And it's like, oh, it's just like her daughter's like living her life, and but also she's like getting a bit distant. And it's like, oh, this is cool. I like this. There's a sad line at the end of this too, at the end of the movie, which is when the main girl, she jumps out of a car basically and ends up in hospital. And when she's asked why by the doctor, I think, she says, her friend, referring to her friend, she says, she thinks I'm chicken, but I'm not. And it's like a good, it's well delivered. It's really sad. It's like, man, this like girl just wants to like, she wants to fit in, and she doesn't quite understand how. And she's like, she does this incredibly dangerous and terrible thing because she just like wanted to fit in and prove that she's not like a chicken. I'm like, oh, this is like really sad. I liked it. Another miscellaneous note is that at some point in this movie, they randomly hang a dog. And it's like comes out of nowhere, and I'm like, oh, this is like crazy. And this is like a part of the reason why this feels like a slice of life movie, where it's like things like that just happen. Like especially that was like the craziest of it. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess it's just like a day in the life of like this girl's terrible life. When I say this girl, I mean the romantic interest. Like she has like a quite not a very happy family dynamic, let's say, and the killing of the dog is like definitely a part of that. Or the guy who kills the dog, it's crazy. But yeah, and my final miscellaneous note is just how, like I mentioned, the girl in the climax of this movie jumps out a moving car and like gets in hospital and is like severely injured. But directing wise, I think this was directed pretty poorly because firstly, she like, it didn't seem like the car was moving that fast, and it like she seemed way more injured than I would have expected for like how she fell out of the car. Like it was really weird because I'm like, they should have either directed her falling out of the car like more intensely, or had the car like moving way faster or something. Like I just didn't buy that she'd be injured for that much because of the action of falling out of a slow moving car. But it is what it is, unless the car like ran her over or something afterwards. But we didn't see it. But anyway, that's Porcupine Lake. I don't have too much to say about it. It's perfectly fine. Nothing special or anything like that. But yeah. All right. So now we have the 2025 leaderboard. So we have down in 28s, in the negatives, the 2 out of 5s, we have No Longer Human. Then we have in the 3 out of 5s, Porcupine Lake, followed by 28 Weeks Later. And then in the 4 out of 5s, the really great movies, we have How to Train Your Dragon, the original. And then above it, How to Train Your Dragon, the live action. And then higher up, we've got in number 10, K-Pop Demon Hunters. And then above that, we've got 28 Years Later. And that's it for this digest. So see you next time.